Joe Biden goes all in on defund the police with Kamala Harris VP pick. Hello, this is Robert Romano, Vice President of Public Policy with Americans for Limited Government, dailytorch.com. Hit that subscribe button. Today we're going to be talking about Senator Kamala Harris, Democrat out of California. And she's the presumptive nominee by the Democrats for vice president and Joe Biden's running mate. And I think this is a big mistake for Democrats. It's pulling them much further to the left than they already were. Harris is one of the most radical senators in the country. And she supported cutting $150 million from the Los Angeles Police Department's budget that was recently enacted. And I think, again, this is a big mistake. And it shows that Joe Biden only wants to appealed, I think, to a very narrow segment of the American people. And, he could have pulled somebody out of a swing state, but he's going to California. And so I don't see how he picks up any votes. I don't see any independents who now want to vote for Biden because of this pick. Not seeing Republicans who would cross party lines and say they're going to support Joe Biden now because of this pick. So really, if without the cross party or unaffiliated voter appeal, I'm not sure what the heck Biden's thinking here. So let's take a look and analyze what this pick by Joe Biden means, both for the race in 2020 and the country should Biden get elected. This could be a major turning point for the 2020 election. Los Angeles cut $150 million out of their budget and took police staffing to the lowest level in more than a decade. Quote, although challenged by some as a goal for the police department, the 10,000 figure has been looked to as a standard for sworn officer hiring levels. The last time the department had a police force of around 9,700 sworn officers was more than a decade ago, officials said. LA City Council on Wednesday, July 1, approved $150 million in cuts to the police department budget that would effectively shrink the force of 10,000 to around 9,700. This could be a big mistake, but Kamala Harris, she supports it. Here she was on Good Morning America with George Stephanopoulos. Let's take a listen to that.
So does that mean you support proposals like what we've seen in Los Angeles, Mayor Eric Garcetti saying, take some of the money from policing, about $150 million, invest it in health initiatives, training initiatives for youth?
I support investing in communities so that they become more healthy and therefore more safe. Right now, what we're seeing in America is many cities spend over 1/3 of their entire city budget on policing. But meanwhile, we've been defunding public schools for years in America. We've got to re-examine what we're doing with American taxpayer dollars and ask the question, are we getting the right return on our investment? Are we actually creating healthy and safe communities? And that's a legitimate conversation, and it requires a really critical evaluation. I applaud Eric Garcetti for doing what he's done.
She applauds Eric Garcetti for doing what he's done. So she supports the $150 million cut to the LAPD. And I think that's going to be a catastrophe for LA. Again, that number, 10,000, has always been looked to as the standard for keeping a safe community in LA. And so it's going to become unsafe. Now, the pick of Harris comes as Biden, for his part, has attempted to thread the needle on the issue of defunding the police by saying, oh, I don't support defunding the police. I just want to condition federal funding to police on whether they're, quote, honorable. And this is pretty outrageous. He says, quote, no, I don't support defunding the police. I support conditioning federal aid to police based on whether or not they meet certain basic standards of decency and honorableness and are able to demonstrate that they can protect the community. And he said that in an interview with CBS News. But so basically he would defund them if they don't meet his criteria for good policing or being decent or honorable or some demonstration that they can effectively protect the community. And so, yeah, he wants to cut police spending. And Kamala Harris, again, she supported cutting $150 million from the LAPD. But this comes at a time, I think, when Democrats and the country, frankly, are deeply divided on the policing issue, and defunding it is really unpopular. According to an ABC News Ipsos poll, it found 64% of Americans reject the idea of defunding the police when it comes to support or oppose reducing the budget for the police department, even if it means fewer police officers, with money shifted to other programs related to mental health, housing, and education. 60% oppose that. So that's pretty unpopular, and that was in June. And amongst the breakdown there, you see that very little support, only 34% support to defund the police movement. 55% of Democrats support that. Only 9% of Republicans support it. So conversely, 45% of Democrats oppose it. 43% of blacks oppose it. 58% of Hispanics oppose it. 74% of whites oppose it. And those numbers actually swelled in July, where 73% are opposed to cutting police spending. 42% say they want it to stay the same. 31% say they want it increased. And only 25% are saying they want it decreased. And this was Pew Research in July. And so those are just terrible numbers. So if Joe Biden, if he's trying to shore up the radical base of the Democratic Party, the Antifa BLM wing of it, he's doing it with a political program that really only has about 25% support, with just 12% saying they want funding decreased a lot, and another 14% who say, well, just cut it a little. $150 million is not a little. It's a lot out of the LAPD budget. And you're seeing these cuts come across the country. In Seattle, they cut police spending, and the police chief there, she quit. And good for her. She got the Chaz under control, this autonomous zone in Seattle, and they thank her by slashing the budget in Seattle for police after they did what they were supposed to do. They protected the community from a rebellion, and then they're cutting spending dramatically. And so the chief did the right thing, and she quit the job. She resigned in protest, I think. As for Biden, he could have used the VP pick as a means of kind of distancing himself from this radical protest movement that's been brought into being by the death of George Floyd in police custody in Minneapolis. Instead, he chose to use the VP pick to sharpen his stance on the issue and to ensure that the election will most certainly be about race and policing by shoring up Biden's anti-police bona fides. Again, Kamala Harris is one of the most radical senators in the country right now, and she supported cutting police funding significantly in the largest city in her state. To be fair, though, finding a national Democratic figure somewhat not wrapped up in this issue is very difficult. I mean, there's some, lesser known figures who are kind of distancing themselves from that and, might be in swing states or in swing districts. But the party is under incredible pressure at the moment where they, in order to appeal to this movement, this protest movement, they have to take a hard line against the police. But then to appeal to moderates in the swing states, they got to kind of, have a little gray area there. I think, though, Harris is a sop for the BLM-Antifa wing of the party, a signal by Biden to the rioters that says he's with you, but at the cost of more moderate Democrats in suburban areas, particularly, who probably oppose defunding the police. And at Biden's age of 77, he really needed to pick someone who would, basically give the American people confidence, and that includes independents and Republicans, that this is somebody who can lead the nation if Joe Biden doesn't make it past his first term. He's really, really old. He would be the oldest president ever elected at his current age. So instead, Biden and Harris seem to want to meet the protest movement halfway, seeking out some sort of weak middle position. Again, I was talking about this gray area. They want to strip police of resources at the very time when there's heightened violent crime and civil unrest. Does that sound like a good idea to you? I think it sounds idiotic to me, and I'll leave you with the close here. And by selecting a California radical senator, it is questionable if Biden picks up any votes among independents and Republicans, which he surely needs if he is to have any hope of pulling out swing states in November. Is Biden trying to lose the suburbs? That's the commentary. This is Robert Romano, Vice President of Public Policy with Americans for Limited Government, dailytorch.com. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and have a good day.